I want to welcome you to the Charly Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
This episode is brought to you by Crossfire Trailer Service in Stephenville, Texas. If you haul horses or livestock, you already know when a trailer goes down, everything stops. Crossfire takes trailer safety seriously. Every trailer gets a free safety inspection with pictures and videos sent straight to your phone. They get it. Nobody wants their trailer sit in a shop for weeks over routine maintenance. They offer same-day bearing service, and they stand behind their work. They're big supporters of the rodeo and Western industry, backing athletes and events all over the area. Next time you're in Stephenville and need trailer work, call and schedule an appointment or just stop into Crossfire Trailer Service. If you tell them I sent you, they'll knock $50 off any preventative maintenance service. What's up, Thorp?
Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's good, man. How was the Lone Star Shootout?
It's tough. It was tough. I kind of felt like the old guy out there at some point. It was
You can't really
watching.
say that because I seen where Luke Brown at 50 years old was 3.2.
Yeah, he he shaved some years off, I guess, right there. He might be old, but he didn't look old. So
Yeah.
he was doing it, man. There was a tough roping, and it was good to be a spectator, but a little bit intimidated to be in the middle of it.
Yeah, I seen where it had 241 teams in the Open. I think it had $500,000 that it paid out over the weekend between the numbered ropings and everything else. But talk about what all the prizes were with what the Lone Star Shootout creates for you open ropers.
Man, it was a roping. Like when the straight went away, Austin kind of stepped up and thought there was a gap there to create another high level open roping with that format. And it's just it's been a staple the last several years. And now you get 4 partners basically if your fourth run's an incentive team or 18 team or under. But I mean, you get 4 bullets for good money. I mean, they paid 8 monies. First paid 35 a man. I mean, it was pretty. A lot of guys won good checks. I've placed there a few times over the years, so it's been decent to me. But it's just a good rope and one you always kind of look forward to, and you always kind of want to win that trailer at the end. And it seems like everybody was wanting to win it this year because they went at them so much. But that's kind of how it goes. I mean, when they got tapped off, steers were good, and it got fast.
That's one thing that I've seen at some of those ropings, like when first is a high prize, everyone's gunning for first.
Yes,
I've seen ropings fall apart because it's like almost like they've got nothing to lose because they're trying to be so fast because everyone's trying to win first. Rarely is anyone just kind of roping their game and they'll get paid how they do it. That's one of them I feel like too, with the trailer being as extravagant as it is, that people are gunning for that trailer.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about it the other day. The straight had happened that way a lot. Where anybody that had a prayer was trying to blast in the short go to put the pressure on them to move up to win it, because it would be tight enough that eighth call might only be a second from first. Well, if they go long 3 or short 4, I mean that still makes first have to have a good run. And a lot of times you saw some guy that was 8th or 10th callback move up to second. I'm pretty sure Garrett Tanazi was like 4th and 6th or 5th and 8th call or something. One time he won first and second, made 2 good runs. And so you're right. Like when you have a big prize like that, everybody really goes for first, and it kind of gives you an opportunity to move, climb the ladder if you stay hooked. In most cases.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the top 5 calls. I had heard that it was good watching. Everything was tight. The roping was tight. They've roped 2 steers before the short round. So, when you talk about where it's not a 5-header or a 6-header, this is 2 and a short. So, like on 2 head, it is tight. Like roping's fast. And who all was kind of in it, and how did it kind of boil down to the win?
From what I remember, like a short 10 on 2 was like 11th or 12th callback. So you get down to like top 5, it was pretty tight. Long 9s to short 10 were from like 6th to 11th. And then I think it was like 5th and 4th would have been a short 9 on 2. And then 1st through 3rd was 8 on 2. So you had to average, a short 4-second run to be in the thick of it, really. And I do think there was a team that was 10 on 2 that came from like 11th that moved up to maybe 7th or 8th. But it didn't give a whole lot. I mean, the top 5, they all stayed pretty tough. Like, obviously, Driggers and Jade blasted one, second high call. Um, Tanner and Jade blasted one, third or fourth high call. And then it just kind of Wyatt Cox and Coy Rallman, they made a good run. They were the top 5, I believe, and they end up winning third maybe. And so it just seemed like everybody kept staying together, and they would blast one, and the next team had to make a good run too, and
Yeah.
they either did it or
That's
went
when it's
faster.
fun.
Yeah,
That's when it's extremely fun to watch is when everyone's gaming. Everyone's hitting on all cylinders. This team has to be, 4 whatever to take the lead, they do it. This team has to be 4 whatever, they do it. Because when you talk about Tyler Tryon and Jake Long, high team back, and they had to be some kind of 4 if I remembered right.
yeah, probably 4-2 or
Yeah,
4-3 if I had to guess,
yeah.
because they were triggered. They had about a half a second on second, but Caleb and Jade went like 3-7. So I mean, they had to be 4-2 or 4-3. So like, I mean,
That
it
is
was
so rank.
they had to
So
blast
rank.
one.
That is so rank.
But
Dang, and then, yeah, they had to be 4-2 and came back 4 flat, correct?
flat, yeah.
How gamey is that Tyler Tryon?
Dude,
You think about how young he is, but in a way, it's you can't really put him in that inexperienced young role. Even though he's young, the kid has so much experience because he's watched his dad just dominate his whole life. He's seen every situation before he even got his card. You
yeah.
think that's the most experienced young kid I've seen.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can tell, like, the mental aspect doesn't I mean, it's team roping to him, it doesn't bother him, like, he might be second high call, have to make I remember the Clay Logan, I mean, he was second high call, had to make a pretty good run, the steer dove to the right, and he took the shot to win the roping, missed, comes right back the next week and takes the same throws everywhere he goes, like, there's no second guessing it or, oh, shit, changing his style or anything, like, he stayed with it the whole time, and, I mean, high call have to be 4-2, come over the chutes with it, and, I mean, it was like never miss a beat, whether he can get them from anywhere. He's got a big loop, he's tall, he can reach a mile and hook it on him from wherever, so, like, he can do it, and it doesn't look like he's afraid to take the same shot if it doesn't work again.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, being
Yeah, there
able to
really is,
live
I
and die
mean
by the sword
yeah, it's
like
like you
Speedy
gotta
started.
yeah, your style, I mean, there's a lot of different styles that work, but I feel like the styles that get caught changing all the time are the ones that are the hardest, but the ones that can stick to what they're good at seem to, really come through.
Yeah, I agree, and then Jake Long back there, man, just you're just watching your steady eddies on the backside between Jake Long and Jade Corkill and those guys that just never are out of position, never out of whack, and there for the first shot, and it's easy, and it's pretty cool to see. Um,
They were like one thing that I noticed, I mean, as a healer, like, I mean, the headers were having to go at them, and, like, there was a couple that, like, wiped out pretty decent, like, they weren't just doozies around the end of it, I mean, the steers were good, but, I mean, I'm just
yeah,
saying the headers had to kinda turn up the heat, and they hit a few of them pretty hard, and, like, those guys went lights out, healed them, like, it was pretty good
yeah.
watching.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. It's fun seeing those fast George Strait style setups like we used to see
Yeah,
still showing up because there's so many different ways you can have a jackpot. I thought Clay Logan's jackpot last week was great. Had it strapped out there, but it's amazing. It doesn't matter how much you strap it out there. Man, guys are so comfortable now at 2 and 3 coils
yeah,
and still able to hold the control. It wasn't fast like this, but it was still where there's game out there in the middle of the arena, and then
yeah.
now you're
They're
seeing it
still
where the
mashed on the
guys
gas, yeah.
now where guys are able to go ahead and let their hair down and come over the chutes, and so it's good to see where, just like rodeoing, there's a setup for everything.
Sure. No, it's fun to see. I mean, I agree with what you said. I mean, the Clay Logan guys I mean, they can get through the rope and at 2 coils back the whole way through and makes it tough, I mean, if they draw right, I mean, they're gonna be hard to get around. So it's you gotta when you draw the right steer, you better blast them.
We talk about the Lone Star Shootout and that this is gonna be their last year, so it's I think 9 years he said he's been at this, and Anyone who's ever produced a roping, you know how much time and effort it takes
Oh yeah,
to put a roping in. But this being the last year, the ninth year, I think he said it's paid out over $10 million in cash and prizes, 8 million in cash, 2 million in awards. Man, talk about Austin Roberts and his team and Cooper Robertson Hill creating the Lone Star Shootout and what they've done for open ropers before even the Lone Star Shootout. They've been helping open ropers out for so long, but to be able to kind of close this chapter on the last Lone Star Shootout, kind of talk a little bit about kind of where your open ropers are as a perspective of what they've done to help the open ropers out.
well, I feel like Austin has always been a team player when it comes to the open roping, and as a producer, I mean, there's a lot of other perspectives on open opens because they're not the easiest to put on. I mean, you got to have the right kind of steers. I mean, it's got to be the right kind of event to get everybody's good horses. So they're a pain to put on, really. I mean, at the highest level, to have a good event. And to me, it just seems like Austin's always kind of gone that extra step to make sure that there's a spot for him and has a first class event. And I mean, just like this, I mean, the George Strait stepped down, he stepped up, saw a need and did it, and he's kind of always had that mentality. So it's always pretty cool to be a part of it and see a producer that actually cared about doing a good job for the open ropers or having a good event for the open ropers.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about all the ones that now have stepped up. You got the Kojo. Clay Logan has two ropings now. I mean, I was talking to Shane Boston last week, and I think it paid over 1.1, almost 1.2 paid out in cash with 2,115 teams in 3 days. Like,
That's crazy, isn't it?
that is wild.
It
That
was
is
packed.
wild what
That's
that's
just
doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting bigger every time.
Hmm.
They put on a great event. I mean, they do a good job, and they got 2 opens a year now, and it just seems like everybody kinda marks that on their calendar to be there at
Yeah.
every division. I mean,
Hmm.
people are come from a long ways off for that one.
Yeah, it was wild too when you think about like the Lone Star Shootout. Also, when we're talking about tight, I was looking at the times and 12:14 on three for Tyler Tryon and Jake Long to win it. And second place for 40 grand a team was Caleb Drigger to Jake Horkel at 12.4 on three.
I know.
You talk
It's
about chalking your stick up and putting some English on some stuff right there. Like, if you think you can hang, go try that one on three.
yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the steers were good and the barrier wasn't that long, but at the same time, you had to I mean, your angles have to be right, everything's gotta be
Mhm.
right. I mean, you gonna make a good run, I mean, you're at 5 or 6, like, you gotta step on the gas to be short 4 on every steer
Yeah.
there and put a 3 on them. Like, it's controlled, aggressive team roping from those
Mhm.
guys right there, so, I mean, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, man, what a good era, man. Everyone at Lone Star Shootout, such a thank you for what you guys have done. I mean, it was there when I was there. There was a lot of times that roping's helped me get up and down the road, and I know it's even continued to do that for a lot of the guys now. And so, man, just what a roping that he put on, and um, that's appreciate to everyone there that helped out with that roping.
No doubt.
So talk a little about the timed event. I've been kind of keeping up a little bit on social media. A lot of replacements. A lot of people
There
like, okay,
there
this
has
guy got
been
hurt, this guy stepped in, this guy got hurt, this guy's in now. Talk a little bit about the timed events. You've been getting ready for it. A lot of other people were getting ready for it, not no more. So talk a little about your strategy and what you've been getting ready for at the timed event, and what after that. Obviously, then I want to talk about the bulldogging.
yeah.
Because that's every team roper's like, all right, now let's talk about the bulldog.
Yeah, it's coming up on us. I mean, it's a few weeks away, and there has been a lot of guys drop out. There's been a lot of replacements. I've been trying to work more on my tripping. I went to Luke over at Justin Schaefer's. He helped me on the dummy quite a bit, the bulldogging, and then I jumped some steers. And then Jace Melvin's been to the house team roping lately, so he's been helping me shoot dog for a few days. So I've been putting a little time in there, putting that together. And then I've been going to Slade Woods to trip steers, and they let me ride Logan Moore's good tripping horse. And I've been making some runs there. I'm actually going to Corey Ross's today to ride the horse I'm going to ride at the timed event. So they got a little jackpot tonight. I'm going to enter and ride him. And Went and roped some calves yesterday at Holders and Dylan Holders right down the road. So I've got a little horse I can practice on and kind of make some runs. But I'm gonna go bulldog the rest of the week and keep roping a few more calves. And I guess this is my last full week to practice, really. I got to be at San Antonio next week, Houston the following week, right leading up to the timed event. So I might get 1 or 2 more days in, but it'll be kind of, you know, whether it's either going to be while I'm down in San Antonio or at Houston or in between trips to there. So it won't be this. I'm trying to get everything in this week to get somewhat comfortable.
When is the timed event? What's the dates again?
Be the 5th, 6th, and 7th of March.
What how's the body feeling? You feeling pretty good? Been getting hurt? You've been getting
I'm
sore? Kind of
I
how's it
get
been going?
I mean, I've been sore just because 'cause I've been shoot dogging and tripping rope calves all together at the same time here lately, almost every day doing something, but not that bad, like, the dummy sored me up on the bulldogging the most, like, jumping the dummy, like, I was black and blue for a minute, but my goal was to kinda try to get as much as I could done, that way I wasn't cramming everything in the week leading up to where I wasn't sore when I got there was kind of the goal, so I've been just trying to get everything in now and just get a feel for it now and then do what I can leading up, a few days before, but it's this week's pretty much I'm kind of treating it as the last week for me.
Bulldogging's a little bit like football. It takes some your body getting used to being sore. Like it almost
Yes.
takes reps to be able to kind of get in that shape where there's parts of your ribs that are taking hits. There's parts of your legs and feet that are getting sore that you don't do. Obviously, team roping. It almost takes a little bit. It seems like to just get your body used to getting in bulldogging shape.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. I mean, it no doubt. Like, and I laugh like I've been telling everybody team roping's been beating me up the most because I go to a roping the other day or a jackpot before I helped at the Futurity and cut my left hand up. And then I had a horse run me down the right side of the chute and rake my leg off the box. So I've got a gash on my right leg and it's sore, and my left hand's been sore. And it's like, man, so far team roping's been the biggest hurdle here lately. So
I remember one year at Pendleton, Buck Campbell's heel horse fell on the grass, and he came back and he looked at his dad. He goes, "Dad, I think I broke my leg." And Gerald looks back at Bucky and goes, "You gonna try to tell me you got hurt healing?" Buck goes, "Nope, sure not. Sure enough, I think my leg's fine." It's kind of hard to tell the bulldoggers that when you're down there that like you getting sore. Nah, I hurt myself healing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The sorest thing on me is my left hand and my right leg, and it wasn't from anything other than what I do every day.
Bulldogging always reminds me of Happy Gilmore when he was standing there in that batting cage, just taking shots to the
Yeah,
chest,
yeah,
going 365 days till next year's hockey trials. I got to toughen
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. That's
That's
right.
what it feels like getting ready for the timed event.
We were joking. I've got this huge steer that weighs like probably 650, and they sent him to me because he was over at Luke Branquino's, and they used to practice on him for the finals 2 years ago. And he was so strong that they couldn't keep him around. I mean, he was not. I mean, they couldn't get by him until 3/4 or so, and it was kind of dangerous. So they sent him over, and I teamed, and he hadn't slowed down at all. Nobody can hardly turn him. So Jace Melvin's over here. He's like, "Hey, I remember that steer. He'll probably throw better than the ones that hadn't been thrown." I'm like, "There's no way." He's like, "Yeah, I'll just get him out of the chute." He gets down in front of the chute and just like he's gonna take him on, and I'm like, this sucker runs smooth into him. But he stayed with him about halfway down the arena. I'm like, "Hey, just the thought that you would try that on a." I mean, this thing is huge. I mean, he's got a hump in his back, and he's 650 pounds, and he splits the gates with a hauling butt. Like, it's a different mentality,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah, I love it. It's so close to football, almost being a linebacker
Yeah,
in that
I'm
sport, and you can see why so many football guys that played football, it's real easy just to take on that event because it's very similar, I feel like.
mhm, no doubt.
Yeah, we've had a trilogy of steer wrestlers. The last few podcasts started with Steve Duhon and
Oh, yeah,
Oatberry and then had John W. Jones on, and the most repetitive hazer that was in the conversation was Alfalfa Feddersen. And
really.
so Alf was our last podcast, and now it was awesome. It was so cool. I I love that guy, man. it was cool to see the passion and just being the team player that guy was. I mean, he was a hype man for sure,
Yeah.
and you kind of had to have that in that event, you know,
Oh yeah.
guys slapping each other, and I mean, almost like they're ready to go in the break in the huddle before they even get in the box. And
Yeah.
there was one time Alf, and I forget who I was roping with. It was early in my career, and it might have been Buck Campbell because him and Buck were good buds. Buck loved all the Bulldoggers. Bulldoggers all loved Bucky. And I think I was roping with Bucky one time, and Alf walked by and said, "All right, baby, you got this. You got this. Come on, baby, you got this." I'm like, "You're dang right, I got this." And I smoked the barrier down. I think I broke out before I nodded. It was that bad. Like, yeah, you gotta balance the team roping and the bulldog, and they gotta
Uh-huh.
stay separate. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't walk up and on a 6-foot putt just slapping yourself right there and knock the ball
Yeah.
off the course or out of the
That's right.
county. And that's kind of how my start was after Alp just got me all hyped up.
That's right. That's right. That's funny. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one.
I tell you what, Oatberry, man, would have a guy fired up
Oh, I
when he
bet.
talks about his mentality about I mean, the dude was such a gamer. Game time, 10th round, need to win the 10th round to win the world, and does it on every world title, and wins 20 go-rounds at the NFR, 7 of them in the 10th round. Just
Really?
knew when and how to turn it on right at the right time, man. It was one of them when I walked downstairs, I told Jack, I'm like, "Do you want a haze one?" Like
Yeah, yeah.
like that was you just wanna I mean, just being around it and hearing them guys talk, you just wanna slide in there and grab one by the horns, and they was fun. I enjoyed the heck out of going down that timeline from the '80s to the '90s.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll get you pumped up for the bulldogging up there.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Well,
The
think
fun
about think about too and talk a little about is this your first timed event?
It is, yes, first
You know,
time.
when you think about too the emotions between because every event has a certain type of hype, every event has a certain type of focus, every event has a certain time of mind to where your mindset to where you're trying to because when you bulldog, it's going to be a lot different mentality of when you go to heel. When
Right.
you rope calves, is going to be a little bit different than how you're going to head. You know, so there's different hypes, there's different focus, there's different adrenaline for every event, and talk a little bit about that as you're getting ready for that.
To me, like, I've tried to just figure out how to 'cause I feel like the less you know about an event, the less control you have, right? So, like, to me, like, I felt like I needed to get as much control as I could in the tripping, not rush that event because, I mean, getting it on them faster is not gonna save you much time, especially if you fudge the run. Like, there's just a lot of angles involved in, like, letting it set up, and so just for me, like, I always kinda wanna take my first best throw in anything, so it's like, that's an event where I've had to be like, "Hey, let's slow down, get to the right spot, set it up, make sure the horse is in the right lane, and then go from there," but it's and the calf roping too, like, first best throw is not the option there either, like, they're huge, I mean, they're big, they're fresh, so you don't wanna just as soon as you think you can sneak it on them, let them have it, like, try to get them lined out, get all the way, set your horse up the best, get the best go you can, and then go find them from there, and it's like, to me, I've kinda had to pick and choose, the team roping, I need to probably take my first best throw, like like, go ahead and don't just do the best you can and be aggressive as you can, the calf roping be aggressive, but set it up and the trip and set it up and the bulldogging. I told him like I've only got one trick so far, and that's like when I get about to the mouth of the box, I throw my reins down, and I get out. So like wherever the steer's there, there's a lot of pressure on my hazer at this point. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit more control in the bulldogging because I don't feel good about steering, and because the first time I tried to steer, I held on the reins when I went down. So, right now I just ride as hard as I can and get down, and that's the only trick I got. So, I'm kind of a hail mary bulldogger at this point.
That's funny. Who's helping you on the team
Uh,
roping?
Dustin Squeezer,
Oh, good. Yeah,
he's
you'll be
gonna
able to
head,
make up some time for sure when you need to.
yeah, he's gonna head and heel for me. So,
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's where I think a guy goes to his strong events and can like you said it best earlier, you can stay aggressively consistent at the event and then be able to slow down and be smooth in the other events and because
yeah.
it's an iron I mean, truly an Ironman competition. It's not only just what your body endures, but the mental. That's where Trevor was just so phenomenal. you just never seen him bend or break, and
Yeah.
consistent through all 5 rounds. And catch Kelton last year looked,
Yeah, he's good.
wow,
He's
wow,
dang
for a
good, yeah.
young kid, so
Yeah,
impressive.
he's got
Being a
body.
cowboy,
So,
and then his dad, there's so many events that they've done. His dad was handy, and he grew up watching it. So there's, I think, a lot of advantage that he has. Another kind of Tyler Tryon, like we're talking about. He's young, but he's grown up in it for so long. I think I remember when he was a little kid on a pony chasing
yeah.
cattle out there at the timed event. So, I mean,
Mhm.
you talk about a kid that's been there and seen it, and now that it's his turn, he may be young, but he's not inexperienced.
Right, right. No, that's 100%. He's pretty mature. He looks good in every event to me.
And then talk about some of the guys getting hurt and some of the new guys in. I think a lot
Yeah,
of team ropers dropping out from what I'd seen.
yeah, shoot, I think I'm about the last man standing at this point. Try not to let us down over here, I guess. Uh, I think Wade got his ankle right off the bat, and, he's still kinda recovering from that. And then Smith hurt his back in the fall. I think he's had a little trouble, and then his back really was bothering him this fall, so he was trying to shoot dog a little bit, and he wasn't feeling good about it, so he was out. And then Marcus Terrio, I don't know the details on it, but I think he hurt his back too. And so there's been a lot of replacements, like Justin Schaefer's in, Dalton Walker got in. I can't remember the last replacement that came in, but Slade. Oh, Slade. Yeah, Slade Wood. He got in. Um, Slade's bulldogging looked pretty good the other day. I saw some videos. It looked good. So
Talk a
yeah,
little bit about the kind of the, you know, not cowboys don't exactly talk about if you're a real cowboy, I mean, like if you're a timed event cowboy, you don't, the word hurt doesn't get brought up in a cowboy's lingo. This is a tough man, Iron Man kind of sport. So you're not thinking about getting hurt, but talk a little bit about the fact of if it does happen, there's some career changing possibilities that now, especially is so hyper focused as these individual events are now, like team roping. If you're not game and team roping on a daily basis, man, it's pretty hard to hang with the guys that are. So it's harder to do multiple events, but then also like, your guys got a lot to lose if a guy gets hurt bulldogging or in the timed event when it might affect a guy's career. Talk a little about kind of a little bit of what a guy would have to lose a little bit. Because, I mean, that is part of the mentality of what a lot of people are looking at as bystanders. Like, man, are you going to risk your career to get hurt? So talk a little about the balance between, man, we're going to get this done. We're going to do it. Or, man, I hate to get hurt and have to sit out for a little while.
I no, I've thought about it a lot. I think that's kind of everybody's main holdup, really. I mean, it's NFR is paying a little bit more every year. The jackpots are getting big. There's a lot of opportunities. Got a lot of sponsors in the game now, so like there's sticking to your main event is pretty important, especially when you're kind of in the prime of your career. For me, I've always watched it the last few years and just kind of had the itch to want to try it, and I've always been one that was like I would rather try something and it go terrible than I would look back one day and say I wish I would have tried that. Like I don't want to be 50, 60 years old and look back and say, "Oh man, I wish I'd have done that," or "I wish I'd have done this." And it's like, what at that point, you're not really living if you don't do what you think you ought to be doing. And if it's meant to be and you get hurt, you live with it and move on. Like you just got to be able to live with the decisions. And that's kind of how I've looked at it. I mean, I've they can't take the gold buckles away. They can't take the career away. I mean, they can't take there's a lot you can't take away. And I mean, I feel like I got a few more good years in me, but it's if that's what's meant to be, that it's what's meant to be. So that's kind of how I've looked at the whole process.
This episode is brought to you by BC Insurance of Texas, an agency that's built on family values and deep roots in agriculture. Brandon and his team of agents don't just insure the farm and ranch lifestyle, they live it. That firsthand experience is what drives BC Insurance to do things differently. They don't believe in simply selling policies. Instead, they take the time to build insurance programs that eliminate gaps in coverage and truly protect the land, livestock, equine operations, and assets you've worked a lifetime to build. As an independent agency, BC Insurance partners with top-rated carriers so they can tailor coverage to fit your operation, not force you into a one-size-fits-all plan. Their focus is simple: relationships first, protection second, and peace of mind always. If you're looking for insurance from people who understand your world, visit bcinsuranceTX.com and connect with BC Insurance today.
Yeah, it's hard not to want to do it. If anyone's ever done multiple events, it's hard when you look at that. That's such a opportunity to go and learn some of the other events, because after a while, team roping does get boring. So it is talk about excitement, getting jump off one, learning how to ropes, steer rope. For me, it would be like, all right, now I intentionally get to handle one like crap. You know what I mean? Like, I get to actually do that on purpose. Everyone's asking me, like, you bust? I'm like, not intentionally. Yes, but not intentionally.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So it is fun learning new stuff, because that's where Trevor, man, there was just so many angles and things that he would understand. And I think so much of that had to do with the ability that he had to be so good at so many different events and understanding the trip, understanding the calf and putting it where it needed to be, and um, handling your emotions, steer wrestling, and, the team roping side of it, just the heading and heeling. I think that was him heeling first and making the NFR, and then you go to the heading side, and then it's, where so many angles are from being behind the steer. So when you go to heading, there's so much knowledge and wisdom that you gain from this. And, a guy thinks about getting hurt. Well, Trevor had probably the most to lose getting hurt at the timed event, and
Yeah.
I rarely heard of him doing it. So,
Sure.
there is ways to where you can stay and keep this at a manageable spot. But, there's always that risk. So it's fun to hear the balance of how a guy guides the risk as opposed to being able to, like, hey man, I'm not looking back and saying that I should have entered this. I did.
Sure. No, that's we might only do it once, but we're gonna we're gonna do it once.
We'll talk about T-Wade, because he hurt his foot. What happened to him? Where's he at as far as his recovery? And then kind of that risk that he took, end up having to turn out of Fort Worth. Is that right?
Yes, he skipped we skipped Denver and Fort Worth, or I actually went to Fort Worth, but skipped Denver and Fort Worth. But yeah, he was first day of trip in practice. He stepped off, and it sounded like a 22 went off, like it popped his ankle, and he broke it in two spots. And then he thought it was sprained, so he came to rope that weekend some, and you could tell it was bothering him. So then he went and got it looked at, and it was definitely broken. And so he's recovering good now. He's got like a splint, and he doesn't have to wear the big boot anymore. And he looked like he got along good at the Lone Star Shootout. So he's recovered well. Been roping about the last week. He'll get to rope all week this week, and then we'll go to Jackson, Los Fresnos, and San Antonio Monday through Wednesday. Then Houston the following week.
Now, did he have to get surgery, or was it just a recovery?
No,
Let
his
everything heal.
plan was after San Diego to go get surgery, but they said it was healing good and thought it would be, if we just stayed off of it, if it continued to heal like it was, that should be good without the surgery. So
That's good.
that's kind of where he's at now.
So he'll be back. He's back in the saddle now. Good.
Yeah, he's back going now.
I forget which was it, his left or his right?
That was his right. Yeah, it was his right, I believe. Yeah, because he stepped right foot.
Talk a little bit about kind of his business strategy. I've been telling him for at least a couple of years, when the brisket thing became so big, that, man, you've got to create T-shirts, man. There's a way you can market this stick in the brisket, or, there's got to be some taglines that I know of him of all people could come up with. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
Oh yeah.
And he found one, when in Jumanji. So talk a little about this this hype that's going on in the industry on the Jumanji idea that he came up with.
I've Jumanji's been the icebreaker for just about every new conversation I've had. When I went to Arizona or wherever, I'd be at the jackpots or the futurity, and they'd be talking about buying Jumanji merch, or how wild is Jumanji or whatever. So it's been kind of a hit, but yeah, he's been a hot topic around there. But
Yeah, it's hard, I think, where you're trying to find kind of a niche as you're out there rodeoing, to where it doesn't take away from competition. And that's a perfect niche for him because
Yeah.
taglines, merch is something he can do while he's just warming up. I mean, that is, if anyone don't know T Wade, this is a guy that's probably one of the funniest guys, I would say, in our event for sure, that can come up with some wild one-liners, and this fit him perfectly.
Yeah, no, it was a fit, and it's still ongoing. I mean, the funniest is I mean, I've had anywhere from Chris Cox called. I mean, it was on. I mean, the vets. Chris Ray called the other day asking about I mean, every single person is wanting to know. You know, it's Chris Cox wondered why I hadn't already trained him for him yet, but. but I said, well, he doesn't ask my opinion, Chris.
Yeah, he get you some down under horsemanship right there on his app right there, where you can be a noise member and you can get that son of a buck to go left, right, straight, and backwards.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. We've all had them.
yeah, oh
If
yeah,
anyone that's rodeo long enough or roped long enough, we've all had one of them.
no doubt.
Mine was one of my first ones.
Yeah, they're handy where they fit in because I think he's about 20 now, I think, and I mean he's about as good a practice horse as you can find. I mean, for the NFR, like he'll run 10, 15 a day on him, at least full contact, and like he gives you a real feel, medium speed, but has the move and has the finish and flat, and I mean he opens them up for the healer. Like he's dang good practice. I mean I get mad when he talks about selling when he ever talked about selling him. I was like, there's no way we can get rid of him. Like
Well, you
he's
can't now. Now he's paying for himself in
yeah,
merch.
exactly. Now I mean you can't afford to sell him at this point. This
Where does
is
a guy go get his Jumanji merch? Is it on his Facebook? Where's his Jumanji merch location at?
I think you can find it on a link on his Facebook page. You can go click on there and it'll send you right to whatever you want. You can even customize a shirt, I'm pretty sure. But
I love it.
there was
I
there
love it.
was there was one lady on the hater comments or whatever she put on there. She's like, "You guys are just gonna send Jumanji out to the kill pen or something like that." And I just responded, "We can't afford to sell him at this point. Like he's not going anywhere." And then she was happy. She was glad that he wasn't going anywhere. But
Funny. That's funny. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of a practice horse because I think that's something that we probably really haven't talked about a whole lot on this podcast because there's a certain time to where once you develop a technique, you've got to be able to have something that you can get some reps on for yourself. There's got to be something that you can work on when and where you get that first swing up, when and where you learn how to measure, how to drop coils to be able to know that gauge of where the horns are here at a coil, the horns are there at 2, the horns are there at 3. There's so much reps that has to be taken. Those are things you can learn to develop it a little bit on the ground. But until you get the reps to be able to practice it enough where it turns into reaction, no different than me when you talk about the practice horse on the heel side. Something to where you can get enough reps to where, say, you've learned how to throw or have a good swing on the heel side. You can rope the sled every time. Well, then you know the importance of timing. Those things, once you get the technique down, you're going to need the reps on the backside to learn how to get in time, to learn this when that steer runs under the rope, and learn when that steer pushes on the end of it, hits the end of it, being able to rope a fresh steer that's still not barely has a timing or hop to him. So talk a little bit about what the importance is to be able to have something where you can develop your skill, especially as a young roper, or even just learning all these things to where you can get the reps you need without wearing your good horses out that you need during competition.
yeah, I think a quality practice horse is really valuable. I mean, I've always tried to have something around that I could go make runs on for me. And at any time, like even over my career, like the last 10 years, whoever I was roping with, if we didn't spend some time roping for ourselves and we were just, it's easy once you get to that spot where you feel like you need to maintain, a few years in, you're like, okay, I'm roping good, but I need my horses working right and maintain. It's also a scary place because you can get to just stagnant roping. I mean, you're going and making 8-second runs, 7-second runs over and over and over again in the practice pen because you want to train your horse and work on the fundamentals. But at the same time, it's like Steph Curry doesn't shoot layups all day. I mean, that's not, you know what I mean? You can't expect to just shoot layups all day long and then go to the game and nail 3-pointers. Like, it doesn't work that way. And so for me, it's like, it maybe not every single day anymore, but it's fundamentals and working on my horses 2 or 3 days a week. And then a couple days a week, I have that one horse or two horses, or maybe even the good ones make a couple runs on, but that one horse I can go make legit quality runs for me and put those scenarios together of whatever I'm trying to prepare for. And I think that's pretty crucial for me, is to have something that you can go get on, and you're not worried about training, you're not worried about this, you're not worried about maintaining, just go make runs and try to put some stuff together.
When you're talking about some of your coaching and lessons that you're doing, I think that is one of the biggest things is for guys to be able to have something that they can go make those reps on. We talk about the practice horse, and practice horse is difficult because, there's probably some places you could take a practice horse and he could still be good. Like for you guys, if
Yeah,
a guy was going to North Side, some little circuit rodeos that you're not counting towards the world standings that are
yeah.
fast setups, so you're probably things you've worked on. But talk a little bit about where that horse kind of comes in with T Wade, where that practice horse comes in with you, because there's always tweaks. Talk about maintaining, what I'm saying? Like once you get to a certain spot, even where you guys are at, there's a maintaining level that it has to have where you can't get that on your good ones. There's spots I feel like in your practice sessions where there's times where those little tweaks. Talk a little bit about how you kind of utilize that with your practice horses.
Yeah, so for me, like, I'm gonna make sure my good horses are in shape and they're scoring good, they're feeling good, they're in control, and then I'm gonna make very limited runs on them. Like, it's gonna be 2 or 3 slow ones, a couple days a week, and then I might make a real run or 2 here and there. But, like, I wanna get on my practice horse that has some feel. I mean, like you said, it's something that you can take to a little rodeo or jackpots. Like, it's not a dud, right? I mean, it's a pretty high-end horse. It's just not the highest. And, Tyler's got Jumanji, obviously, is kinda his glorified practice horse, but they're not gonna change. I mean, you're not there to make them better, you're not there to train on them, you're there to back in there, see whatever it takes to see full shoulder, get out over them, 2 goals back, try to be 4-5 at Fort Worth, or, I'm trying to get around the end of it, ride through the turn, sharp second hop, finish them good, like, whatever it takes to make the same angles that you wanna make and make the runs you wanna make, but you're maxing out on them, and to me, that's important. Like, you gotta, maintaining and fundamentals is great, and the control of your horses is great, and I think that's as important as anything. But I still have to have those realistic reps at home to where you know that you're ready when you get there.
Yeah, that's something that I think if you're gonna be a young kid, I went through a couple years where I didn't have a practice horse, and then after those couple years ago, I bought my practice horse back
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I realized how much it was helping me and how much it was what I realized that I wasn't able to get those same reps on a young horse, that I was
true.
actually getting in the way of that young horse to develop what he needed, and thinking I could get the same reps here and there on my good ones when there was time I needed to just I nee it might take me 10, 12, maybe 15 runs to work on that, and that's something that you can't do if you're trying to develop a young one coming up or maxing your good stuff out in the practice pen because, jackpots are hard enough without dulling your head horse
Yeah,
because you're making so many runs to where if you're not careful, you're going to start losing the control of your corner. You're going to start losing the snappiness of the fast feet on the face. There's certain things that has to stay sharp to keep them sharp. But man, when you get on that practice horse, just the timing of when and where you bring that swing up, just gauging where those horns are, and also knowing that it's okay to do that without feeling like you got to put something back together. I think that's
yeah. Well,
the
like,
stigma for
there's
so long. The ropers never trained, the trainers never roped.
Mhm.
Where you've got to be able to do both.
Yeah, and I feel like the level of intensity that you need to get good practice runs is not like, the young horses don't need to go at 100, So like I would catch myself going 80 or 90 on my, I have a bunch of good young ones that would be, 5, 6 years old that were pretty solid, but they needed sharp, smooth runs, but they didn't need 9.0, so I would ride them like they needed sharp, smooth runs. Well, I wasn't giving myself all the full contact I needed, so it was almost like I wouldn't max the horse out too much, but then it was like I was holding myself back some, so I kind of I went back to putting more effort into an actual practice horse of something I can go make those runs on.
Hi, I'm Trevor Brazil.
My name's Corey Kuntz.
Hi, I'm Gino Nogueira.
I'm Luke Brown.
Hi, I'm Tyler Wade.
I'm Caleb Driggers.
Miles Baker.
Wesley Thorp.
Paul Eves.
Patrick Smith.
We ask so much out of our horses that recovery is crucial, and that's why I use Equinety.
I've been doing this a long time. What I have in common with these ropers is we all trust Equinety.
I feed Equinety because I want to give my horses any edge.
My horse.
My horse.
My horse.
All my horses have the Equinety edge.
For, say, a parent trying to get his kids more reps, or say a guy that's in that space where maybe on the head side and heel side he's got a couple good horses and he's looking to try to find that next step to where he can get the runs. What do you and T Wade kind of look for besides Jumanji in a practice horse? Because there almost has to be a little bit of that Jumanji you have to put up with, because there's a reason why that horse wasn't able to go in the trailer. So, like say Bull Durham. I had Bull Durham. He was one of my glorified practice horses. He had a little bit of buck to him. You couldn't hardly take your head rope off in the practice pen. He would let you know when he was about done because he would quit back in the box. He might start soloing up. And so he would let you know, like, okay, you probably got a couple more left. You might have to score a little bit where he quits holding his breath. There was certain tweaks and kind of quirks that they have that you have to kind of put up with. But he left flat. He stayed up in the corner, and he gave my partners great practice and me great practice. So talk a little bit about kind of some of the things that if those guys are looking for, what you're probably looking for in a practice horse.
Yeah, I would say all those quality. I mean, you're gonna have to put up with a little something. I mean, they're always a little stingier, a little bit. They've got some quirks, right? I mean, stuff that that aren't as desirable, probably. Um, or it might be one that there's horses that you see that guys have just probably ran too many steers on. You're like, how's that horse take that? Like they go to the roping, and he's got one horse and he's entered with everybody. Like I always like that. I mean, I'm never going to run that many on the horse. So if he can take that, I mean, he would be a sweet practice horse. Get his hocks done, get his teeth done, make him feel good, chiropracted, and then bring him home. And I just because they're my practice horse, if they're good, I'm still going to treat them pretty good. Like I'm going to keep them in shape and not. I may not run 25 in a row on them. Right? It's going to be 8 or 10 here, tie them up, and then run a few more later. But I still try to have an optimistic approach of like, I think this horse is going to get better. Like, I think this horse, I mean, I'm going to rope for myself, but he's going to get better because most of the time, good roping makes good horses. So I think if you have something that has potential to get better and make them feel they're not gonna, you don't want them to just go get worse and sour. Cause I mean, if they do have those quirks and they have those, obviously they have some sort of ability. If you go rope on them with zero purpose and you're not treating them right, then they probably could get sour and they could get worse and they could be too much to handle, especially for a kid that's trying to make a lot of runs and get better. I mean, you can definitely make one worse. So I think that's important too. Just little things.
I agree with that too, because there was times where I've watched guys just rope to where the horse, you could tell the horse was sore, he was dreading it, and they just kept going. And you're like, man, yeah, that's too much. It's too far. Like, be able to at least, like, say, no different than if you were out. I think what helps, in my opinion, a lot of times is when kids actually grew up playing sports. They kind of know there's a certain time where when your legs quit working and you get wore out, it's time to take a break. They pull players out in basketball for a reason. Let them get their legs back, get their breath back, and then put them back in. I think a guy's still got to manage those practice horses those same way. There's only so many runs they can kind of take before, okay, I need to score one. I need to free up one. I might need to go ahead and time up to the fence, like you said, let him catch his air, get a few more reps. There is still you can't just go and run. Like I've heard guys say, you got to run 50 or 100 on. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's so hard on them, and they're you're intentionally soaring them up, which is intentionally going to make them work worse. So I think there's a balance also with maintaining a practice horse as well. I think there's something to that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, they're also an investment too. I mean, if they're, I mean, think of it if he does get better. I mean, if he does, if he is feeling his best and he does get better, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a $10,000 horse when you bought it. He might be a $20,000 horse when you're done with him, and you might keep doing that. So it's like, some people use the excuse of, well, I can't afford a better one. Well, if you would treat that one better and get him better, then he might fit somebody else really good, and then you find a better one. So it's like, I just kind of really look at them as you don't want them to lose their value at any
Mhm.
stage.
Yeah. I think though that like with Jumanji, I think that really does put a lot of people in perspective, because like that's probably the one that's tough enough to be able to handle. You almost can't give them breaks in a way, and I don't mean running 100, it's not what I mean at all, but, like, those
Saddle
10,
on their
12,
back,
15
yeah,
runs, the saddle on their back, and, that Wade Sundell with the white in their eyes, I mean, if you think of a bronc rider like Wade Sundell, he would be a bronc if he was a horse. You
yeah,
can see
yeah,
the white in his eye, the mentality, you know what I mean? Those guys, there's a combination between broncs and those bronc riders, you know what I mean? That white in their eye,
yeah.
they're bronky themselves, and so some of them horses that to make a good practice horse got a little bit of that white in their eye. They, a little bit standoffish to where they almost don't get normal until about 10, 15 runs to where then they level out because they're so, they haven't had the thinking part of their brain put in them. Everything's a reaction. They're still half-assed wild. They're still kind of thinking everything is going to try to get after them. They haven't learned to kind of be tame where it almost the runs, they almost can't stand adversity and the fact of like they need the runs.
I agree.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your video coaching. We talked about it the other day. Went over there to your house and seen you had a bunch of lessons lined up and been doing a lot of lessons. It looks like while you're home, guys trying to find that niche of what you can handle because there is so much downtime rodeoing. You're trying to find okay from 8 hours to one rodeo to the next, the downtime a little bit, and also you're looking for the I think that niche in the industry of where some people that can't afford to drive from, say, Wisconsin all the way to Stephenville, Texas for a lesson. The guys that rope in Brazil, Mexico. There's even guys wanting to learn how to rope in Germany and Switzerland, places like that to where how can they get better at this sport but not be able to get to your house?
So I kind of started it because we started doing, some schools all over while we're rodeoing. And when we travel and stuff, we do a handful of schools here and there throughout the year. And I do lessons at my house the last several years. And I kind of started it with, I mean, I literally would have people text me and say, hey, uh, if I send you my videos or, send me your Venmo and I'll pay you to look them over for me. And so it kind of started, for the last several years, I've kind of had the idea of like, I would like to do some sort of mobile coaching. And every time I would get something put together, it would almost be too complicated, right? It would be some sort of platform that videos go to. And then by the time you get to it, critique it or try to voice it over, and send it back and then they communicate back. It just wasn't very fluid. So I'm like, I think I was making it too complicated. Never tried it. I just would experiment with it, right? So finally I'm like, you know what? Everybody wants to just send me their videos on phone anyway and let me read it, basically look them over, send them an analysis back, maybe an example or two. And so that's what I started doing is basically just the people that I'm already doing lessons with, schools as I'm traveling to be able to just I mean, like you said, they're in Idaho or they're in Colorado or they're Missouri, and I mean, they can't really get down here that often. So and you know how it is. Like when you're doing a school, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. You can't fix everything in one time, and that's not the goal. Like you're trying to give them two or three key points that they can take away from it and help them have something to think about. And then maybe a month or two or three later, they're like, okay, I'm stuck on this part, or this feels really good. What about this? Well, how could they submit that back in and get some reassurance or some help really, related to that? So that was kind of my goal. And I've had a bunch of new people from anywhere from Mexico to South Dakota to Canada, submit that just wanted me to analyze their runs or set up a call, a 30-minute call And so those are my two options. I do the text analysis or the phone call, either one, but it's worked really well. I just started it 1st of January. And so we're kind of a month in now at this point, and it's been that was kind of the whole thought behind it, is just to be able to keep guys going that you see once a year, and try to give them some more information throughout the year as it goes, and we'll see where it goes.
What have you seen is the biggest let's just start with healing. What have you seen the biggest thing that sticks out to you that most people are having a hard time with?
Maintaining consistent position would be the biggest thing. Like being able to not only get to a spot, but to maintain that position after they get there. And that's always been the biggest thing I've seen in healing
So
in
what
general.
what examples do you mean? Give us some examples, a little bit of what you're saying in a kind of a live run where you can almost see what you're saying.
So like when the healer gets all the way to his position, say second hop, it's every time most of the time the general public they think they're in position, that's going to be the last time they're there, and they start sacrificing their body position and look for a throw. So I usually try to emphasize on being able to get to their position, stay there in the exact same position with, power on their swing, power on their upper body, and be able to maintain that same position for at least 2 or 3 more strides before I let them throw. That way they know that they're not going to have to opt out of a run if it's not right. They come in, maybe they're a little out of time, but they think they're not going to get another throw. They just lean with their upper body and look for a throw versus maintaining the same position. And that seems to be the common denominator, because if you can get to where you hold your position, you can fix a lot of other things, but you can almost fix everything else. And if you can't hold your position, it's pretty irrelevant.
What have you seen on the rope on the heel side that seems to be the most common problem that guys are having?
They're too stiff. I'd say most times guys healing, starting out or lower number, they want to kind of go with the typical, what all the pros are using, hard medium, some kind of power line full versus, you know, NV4 that's a little lighter, or even a NXT, or a, Spider, anything that's lighter, smaller around, and some kind of medium soft or medium, or even a medium soft in the power line would be great. But they want to get like the full ones that are medium hard, and it's like if they can't turn it over and control their tip, they don't need to be using the stiffest rope that they make.
Yeah, that's almost a Bobby Harris, Kyle Lockett. You almost
Yeah,
gotta be that that size of a man to almost be able
yeah.
to swing that old school type of rope, or like you say, there's so much technique to it. There's so much learning where your top strand, bottom strand, and your tip, and the to be able to understand the sophistication of the swing, because I feel like what I've seen so much back there too is exactly what you're saying. To be able to ride a good, smooth, controlled corner, to be able to maintain that position, but then also have a correct swing where you're not trying to do both in the run. That's where it feels like where guys go straight to like, well, I'm in my head. Uh, yeah, you're in your head because your technique's off.
Yeah.
You're searching for an answer that's not there because the technique's not developed yet. No different than I think anything else that you're trying to do and you're trying to learn it yourself is extremely hard to do as opposed to having some eyes. You got to have some eyes on people who've been there and then be able to know how to explain it where you can see what they're saying too. And I think the video coaching's a good spot because you can see exactly with a slow mo what they're doing and you can relay it back to them where they can see it.
Oh, no doubt. Like, even me, like I grew up going to Tyler Magnus and then Speed Williams, and I still pick Speed's brain all the time. Like, I think it's super important that you have another set of eyes, just because they can see things that you don't even think about at the time. When you're in the heat of it, you might be hyper focused on one thing, and that's not even the thing that you should be, as concerned about. So it's just having another set of eyes to me is important for even me at where I'm at. So
Well, I feel like coaching and then also where you're at in your career is it feels like a guy's trying to find where that problem stemmed from. Sometimes a guy can be working on the problem from the top and it's not It's at surface level. The problem might be deeper. On the head side, a lot of times it starts from the back of the box. Got to start there first, because if you're getting blown out in the back and you're pulling on your horse and your first swing's up, but you're worried about the fact that you're not in position when you get there, guys got to work a little bit further back. I'd say the same thing heeling. There's a lot of things that can be rewinded on maybe how you started your first swing, or maybe how you started the entry of your corner, to where there's a lot to being able to find out where does the problem stem from. You're trying to pinpoint that, because then after that, it escalates after that.
Well, yeah,
I
it's
feel
like I always tell it's like a domino effect. I mean, if you do this wrong, this is what led to that, and that led to that, and that. It's not that you're doing 8 things wrong. It's you did the first thing, this happened, and it's where it stemmed from, and then dominoed, and it all went downhill from there. So yeah, you're exactly right.
Talk about on the head side, 'cause I know you do a lot of lessons on both sides, but talk a little bit about on the head side. Where do you see a lot of the most common problems on the head side?
To me, it seems like everybody wants to rope like from their sweet spot. On the dummy, they all want to go to that half cool back. That's and they got that little rhythm right there, but none of them want to rope it from about 3 steps closer than that. And it's like if they can get comfortable roping it from closer than that, then you can teach them to keep their hand down, their left hand down on their horse, and not feel like they're playing tug of war just to throw the rope, right? So I don't want them balancing on the reins once they get to the steer. Like check on the way to them, and then get what they want, and then give it back to them to where their left hand's down, and they can just focus on covering the horns. And to me, that's the biggest thing that I see is they all want to feel comfortable from that little half a cool back to 1 cool back, kind of have that rhythm down, that sweet little free throw spot, and they don't feel comfortable going closer than that, waiting on their tip, letting it come around, covering the horns, leaving their left hand down. And to me, that once they get comfortable with that, it's like a mental block. Like it gets them to a whole nother level because they can leave the back of the box riding, getting ahead of their horse. They're not intimidated to get too close. They can keep more momentum in the run going. I mean, everything seems to advance from there, and it's almost the opposite of what you would think. Guys are wanting to come over to get faster, and you think they're going to have them reaching 2 cools, but it's like if they can't go that close and rope, their whole momentum's off. Like I've seen the best reachers in the world that couldn't go all the way in and keep the run moving, but once they learned how to do that, they got to another level with their heading. And like I mean the best header, like the top headers. Like I mean we've talked about a little bit, but there's top 2 or 3 headers in the world that used to not be able to go all the way, and now that they can, it, like, took their roping to another level.
Mhm. I see a lot of kids that watch a Cowboy Channel a lot that put that angle on that left side and trying to rope up there, further back, and you're like, "All right, that looks pretty good. You got some good game. Now let's see you run in position." And they can't. And
Yeah.
a lot of times they're like, "Yeah, I can't rope from there."
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
I
That's
go
tough
down,
spot.
I start telling them, I drop some of your wisdom on that, and I've said, "Well, what happens when that easy money's on the table?"
Yeah.
"Well, I'll just have to reach." I said, "So you're gonna try to tell me if you get a good start on the loper that you're gonna back your horse off to reach?" You know, it almost
Mhm.
stumps them in a way because it's
Yeah.
almost like you're trying to skip too many steps, and it's to me, it's biological. You get the boys in a basketball game, or it's not a basketball game, but if you get boys playing basketball at a certain age, where are they all shooting from as soon as the coach leaves? They're all
Yeah.
trying to drain 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So it's just the way most boys are wired anyway. They're wanting to hit the three-cool shot, the three-pointer, first, as opposed to, hey, man, there's a lot of money won hitting free throws, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of money made pulling up layups, and so there's a lot to being able to know how to rope from position, and I think from the corner to position where there's a direct line. It's not a
Yeah.
squiggly line, because every squiggle line you take, that gets a step on you. So learning how to make sure there's no wasted movement from the back of the corner to that steer to get to that spot, because most of your ropings for most of these guys are 7-8 second run is money. Well, if you get a good start and get the goodie, that's where, if your position's just right, that's where you can be 6.
Yeah.
You want to make sure when you get the good one, in my opinion, you're ready for it. But if
Yeah.
you're not, and you're trying to pull your horse up to reach, and then now you're 9 on a good one. So
Yeah.
I think there's so much truth to what you're saying on the head side, being able to know how to set up your position and getting ahead of the run. There's so much to that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I see, and I've seen the best headers, like, once they got through that, it's just crazy, like, it made them better from 2 coils because they never turned loose from the back of the box looking for my sweet spot. They were like, "I'm going all the way to the steer, and the minute I level off, well, I'll reach, but if I can get all the way there, I'll just stick it on them and keep the run moving." And it's
Well,
like,
and you think about how important that is right now in the fact of how many of these tournament style ropings. We just seen it last week in San Diego with Ren Richard and Jeremy Bueller. They had to be 5'8" on a steer just having to move to get out, basically an NFR type run. And where did Ren run to? He ran
yeah,
all the
back
way in
all the
position
way
and
to
turned
run.
that steer.
Yeah.
You know, you go to San Antonio or Houston. I mean, there's times to where a clean run wins it.
Yeah, you
So
might be on the
you
board.
watch guys all the way. There's times even at that top level that runs also still a play in the playbook.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think learn and develop that early is important.
I agree, 100%.
What do you see on the swing on the head side that seems to be the most common problem that a lot of guys feel like that they're wanting to improve on?
Probably most of the time, it seems like their elbow's too high or they turn the rope over too late. So, like, they don't have enough coverage on the right horn, and then their elbow's in their own way. Like, they can't come out of their swing as much, so it's not as easy to cover the right horn if their elbow's too high. But those are kind of my two things there that I see.
What do you feel like on the handle? Because that's what I've seen so many guys on the heel side that as soon as the rope goes on, that you see the healer here. Anytime I see a healer here, to me that's defense. That
Yeah.
means they're not sure where the steer's going. So that's not anything that I feel like on a heel side is anything that's their problem. Anytime I see this, that means that's a head problem. You
Mhm.
know, there was a really good book that I seen on Bill Walsh, and I can't remember exactly the terminology, but I loved the kind of the parable of it was, you know, he coached Joe Montana, which was one of the best quarterbacks of the 80s. So precise with where he put the ball. And he had Jerry Rice, which was one of the most premier route runners in the league. And they had a 10 and out that was so hard to guard because it started with the quarterback. It started with Joe Montana. When he got the ball, it was a 3-step drop. And when his back foot hit and he threw, Jerry Rice was almost to 10 yards before he made his cut. So that ball was already in the air. And so it was so hard to guard because I think if I remember right, Jerry knew that if that ball got on the outside of his numbers, that meant the defender was behind him. So he could just hit the ball and go. If he cut and turned and that ball's on the inside of his numbers, he knew that his defender was on this side. So when he cut and hit the ball and could go. Like they were that precise with their routes to where the ball was already in the air. You think about you guys at the top level as a healer, you're already around that steer and committing, knowing that steer is going to hit a certain spot to where you can throw. There is nothing where you guys are here. You guys are always ahead of the run. You know where the ball is about to be. And you think about that same parable like with Jerry Rice where he turns 10 yards and knows the ball's already there. I've seen so many guys on numbered rope ones that get to 10 yards, turn around just looking for where's the ball at. You know, they're on the heel side doing this because they don't know where the steer's about to be.
It sounds it sounds like I need to get Tyler and Joe Montana together.
That was a great one. That was a t-shirt. I love it. I love it.
This episode is brought to you by Ryan Studdard with Oak Ash Realty. Ryan, the broker and owner of Oak Ash Realty, is someone who understands the land, lifestyle, and the work that goes into it. Whether you're looking for acreage to run horses and cattle, a place with room for an arena, or a home that fits your family just right, Ryan has the experience to help you find that perfect property that fits your needs. If you're looking to sell and want an experienced broker that understands the nuances of farm and ranch properties, Ryan has that track record. From ranch land and ranchettes to residential and investment properties across North Texas, Ryan knows what matters. I've had the experience of working with Ryan multiple times over the last few years, and I can attest firsthand to his knowledge and experience. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or just want a straight answer about land or real estate, give Ryan Studdard a call at 817-683-9505 or check him out at oakandashrealty.com.
Like I always try to tell them, like, tie it to the steer's horn, tie it to the saddle horn, parallel the steer, and then keep the momentum the same. Like if you're hauling butt, you need to break them down, but keep fluid momentum through the corner and keep the steer's head the whole time. Whatever that takes. Like you always want the head coming back to you and their shoulders, head, shoulders, and then keep them coming back to where they're opened up. And then if the steer's slow, like I always want them to don't feel like you want to speed them up just because you're going too slow, right? Like you want to keep everything fluid. Like don't change the speed of the steer, but make sure the ropes are tight. Tight to the saddle horn, tight to the steer's horn before you make your corner.
I
It's kind
think
of our
that's
rule of
so
thumb.
important for guys to get the feel of, because that's what exactly what I see is what you're saying, is when I see a lot of guys rope, dally, and turn off, and there's no connection.
Yeah.
Like that rope is still loose before they're even turning off. And to me, that puts the steer on a defensive position to where he's just trying to find his balance as he's getting jerked and pulled around. And he may not even find the timing or rhythm of his hop till almost halfway across the pin because
Yes.
of the in control that the header had in that corner.
Yes.
You know, when you watch some of the futurities, I always tell everyone, man, there's such a blueprint now on heading into futurities because those guys are roping from the same spot you are. They're not dropping coils. A lot of the maneuvers they're getting judged on is the run and rate.
Mhm.
That is maneuver number 2, where that horse is all the way in position. Because if they reach, then that horse don't get the run and rate points. So they're running the same position as you would see from a 13 rope and down.
Sure.
But what you're seeing so well is how well they rope and get connected to that steer, like you're talking about, where that rope's tight. Because when that horse is collected and that steer's in the same speed, that's when you can see the steer and the head horse mirror each other, where then you can see the heel horse and the steer mirror each other, where there's a route being run.
No
You know,
doubt.
there's a pattern to where the run's going, and a lot of times the lower numbered roping you get, it's a header and heeler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes even header versus heeler
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the lack of control in the corner to where you know where the steer's about to go.
No doubt.
That's where I feel like it's very hard on the heel side on the lower numbered stuff, is to be able to get a consistent go where you're not just trying to read and be on defense the whole time. To me, it seems so hard to be able to be very offensive when you're always on defense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to know what's coming. And like I usually tell people, because you hear that, it's a common thing you hear. But for me, I mean, it's similar to like heeling and pro-ams. I mean, you get guys that know exactly what they're doing, and then you get guys that maybe trying to go a little too fast, and then you get a little bit different goes. I mean, sometimes they're really, really good, and sometimes they're not as good. So like I always let the steer make the first move is kind of what I tell them. Like let them get their head and pick the direction and then build your momentum through the corner. Because if you try to guess where it's going to be something different every time. So you can't guess right enough. But if you let them pick their head up and you still stick with the same, tracks of the steer through the corner and let them pick the direction first, and that's kind of your rule of thumb, more times than not, you're not going to get left in the dust, but at least you'll see everything in front of you.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about what you see. Let's see what your eyes see. Like when you're going down the pin and that header ropes and you're getting in position, what are you looking for? What are you seeing? What is it that keeps you on an offense to where a lot of people that you talk about that get in that position, they're not sure what to look for. They're not sure where they need to be. Talk a little bit about kind of where your eyes. Talk a little about looking through your eyes.
To me, I can you can tell out of the corner of your eye, I would say, like how the head catch goes on and how the head horse is about to pull him. Like if they step out and it goes on sharp and that steer's first move, their head comes and they're moving, like you're gonna have to hustle right there. But if they stick it on them, the slack's slow, getting their slack, there's a little bit of slack in the rope, like you got to stay parallel down the arena, let that steer get his head around and start his corner with. I want enough space down the arena to where I can see that and drive through there versus being super tight And then when I see their head move, think, oh, I got to panic. And then all of a sudden you're on top of them. So I want to have enough space and width that as I see their heads come around, I can gauge how fast I'm riding to them. But I always want to be pushing to them instead of pulling on the bridle reins per se. And how much further down the pin I'm going to go and how fast across is just going to have to do with my left hand and feet. So it's almost like I try to take that out of the equation to where I'm not guessing all the time of what's happening. Like let it happen, gauge how fast the steer's, moving the first stride, and then I can drive to them.
One thing I heard Clay Cooper talk about, and I loved it. It was a different analogy, and it's hard for me to even try to kind of do a little bit because I'm so focused on where the feet are. Is when he would talk about when he would get down the pin, he would focus on the back feet, but he would still keep the header and where everything was at in his peripherals. Like he was talking about, like how he could tell when somebody ran up there, got in position, got their slack, and their horse stood up, that he knew he can kind of get around of it, get to the inside, and he knew that that header had control of where that steer was about to go. Then he would talk about too when a guy would get up there rope and you could tell he's bobbling his slack and trying to find a slack, that he knew that that was going to take a little bit longer for that steer to develop because he could see what the leader was doing, because he knew that the horse was going to lead the steer. So you got to be able to keep the leader in your peripherals, because where he goes is the steer's going to follow. And then he would talk about too when he could feel that head horse coming and that head rope would come and the head horse would disappear. He's like, oh, I need to get around it. The things are fixing to go, and so it was cool to see the reads. It was cool to kind of like in his mind, like what he would see to where he knew, because you think about where you're at, where Jade Corkill's at, where Clay Cooper is at. There's not a steer that can do anything that you guys don't know where he's about to go. That is millions of reps. That is so much to where there's so many reps that you've had. That's a read that you're able to get ahead of. And that I think is so cool to be able to kind of talk about for a lot of healers, is what a lot of guys see as they're trying to enter into that corner to be able to set up that run and keep their distance and set up a consistent throw.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. There's times where I can tell at the opens they're reaching from 3 back and the horse ducks. Like you've got to be able to know that I need a block and tackle here. I can't take the most aggressive approach through the corner to try to throw fast. Like I need to get to the inside, and when that steer hits, wait till he comes out of it, then find him and heal him. Like I don't need to be the hero there. So I think I 100% agree with that. You've got to know what's going on up there.
What about you guys? I see where you and Chi Wade are doing some clinics. What is some of the dates you have, some locations that you have, and also talk a little bit about where people could find your clinic schedule and how to apply for your video coaching?
Okay, so we'll probably do a clinic in April in East Texas at Tyler's. We don't have it officially scheduled yet. And then we'll do one in June in Idaho, around Kimberly, Idaho. And then we'll probably do another one in Nampa, Idaho, up in that part of the world right around June, July. And then we did one in Arizona in the fall, like November. So we'll probably do that again. And then we might have another pop-up one or two here in Texas while we're home in April or May. But we usually just put them on our Facebook pages, mine and Tyler's. So like we'll keep them updated on that. And then as far as the video coaching goes, I have the links on all my social medias where you can just click and look for the open schedules and just book an appointment that way. So
What do you call your video coaching so they know what to look for?
I just call it World Championship Video Coaching right now is what it is. And you can just click the link and go pick a schedule, pick a time slot.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. That's a good hole in the market, I think, right there. Especially when you're talking about when a guy's going 8 hours from one place to the next. Man, there's so much downtime in rodeo that a guy's got to find something he could fill in to where it's not taken away from your roping. It's not taken away because there's only so long. Also, you can focus on roping. You can't do it all 8 hours.
Yeah,
you can't do it all 16 hours. You can't do it all 2 hours in certain places. Wherever you're going. So there is times where a guy can keep a business going a little bit throughout the year where it's not affecting your business, because that is the dance. That is the hard balance that a guy's trying to keep is, I'm still staying sharp, but I'm also still being able to kind of create some other outcomes or some creative, some basic alternative incomes.
Sure. No, and that's the goal. Like, I mean, I try to keep 3 or 4 dates open a month, at least one. I try to average at least 1 day a week that I schedule for it. And then the summer, I'm sure it'll be a little bit more than that just because we'll be on the move and have more downtime. So that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, between that and some Jumanji shirts, guys
That's right.
got plenty of merch to get ready for the next clinic, and
That's
make sure
right.
you wear your Jumanji cap on the videos.
That's right. That's right.
What about where you heading next? What are you guys getting ready for, and where are y'all going?
We got Jackson, Mississippi Saturday, Los Fresnos Sunday, and then start at San Antonio Monday. So
So
Monday.
those are 2 one-headers y'all are going to before you get to San Antonio.
Yes, and San Antonio, and then straight into Houston, first set at Houston.
Are those rodeos you're counting? Are those tour rodeos? Are those circuit rodeos?
Jackson's a tour rodeo, and then Los Fresnos is just a circuit rodeo, but we are counting it.
You are?
Yes.
And then when did you say you're at San Antonio? And then what do you feel like it's looking like right now? Like, talk a little about the steers. What have you seen on the Cowboy channel that you've been watching? What do you feel like there is on a game plan of what it looks like is where you're about to go to San Antonio?
So we're the last set. We're next Monday through Wednesday, and watching it so far, I mean, the steers look pretty good. I mean, they look fresh-ish, kind of. They look. Some of them are sharp. Some are. I mean, just obviously some are better than others, but some have been pretty sharp. Kind of looks to me like you need to literally rope whatever you draw. I mean, if you draw a good one, you probably need to try to get placed as high as you can in the round. That way, it just helps you advance to the semis. But if you draw a runner, stay in it. I mean, look, fourth hasn't been super tough every night, so you got to stay in it and get all you can. And seems really important there to place early on. That way, you're not knife fighting round 3, 2 and 3. Like if you can get on the board round 1, it helps. Then I think we're first out round 1, so if we can go make the best run we can, get on the board, and we're last out round 2, so we'll see exactly what we got to do. If you get on the board again, then round 3 kind of takes that pressure off of, hey, we either just have to get on the board to advance, or maybe we've already advanced at that point. So it takes that pressure off to me to get on the board early. Like round 1's important to scratch and get something going.
That makes sense because I seen where Junior D's won the 3rd round of his set and got beat out by 2/3.
Yeah.
So if you're battling back and you ain't placed going in the 3rd round, you're kind of in a bind already. Even to win the round doesn't even advance. So
Yeah,
to be able to get those little hits, and also too, the steers look tough. They look native. Look like they're native steers. M brand still look like they're having a hard time getting crossed.
Yeah.
Not a hard time. They're not.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's still an issue. And especially when you put natives in an indoor, they're going to change. It seems like too. May not be that most consistent pattern, and also being fresh. So it does look like that there's some obstacles to be able to try to read once you get out on the head side, where's the steer going, and then also on the heel side, where to be, because they're not all straight. They're not all stepping left.
No.
They're not all running. They're not all open. So there's a lot of variables so far as what it looked like to me to be able to read.
Yeah, same same here. It's like kind of get out and find them. I mean, get out of the barrier and turn them if they're right there. Try to blast one. If they're kind of lost, get them down and try to get on the board because, like I said, I think those little hits add up a lot, especially if you can get a couple under your belt, take that pressure off around 3.
Who, I know it's early in the year, but who have you had your eye on? Who is it that stands out to you this early in the season that looks like, man, they're on a roll? Also, what on the horses as well? Which ones look sharp on both sides?
Man, early in the year, Tanner Tomlinson looks really tapped off right now. Him and Colby have made some good runs. They look like they've got a really good rundown, and which I've buddied with Tanner several years, and I mean I've seen him firsthand do a great job at the rodeos. But I mean he looks really tapped off, and Colby held a good one last night at San Antonio. They've been doing good. Uh, JPR Viso and Rance Doyle look pretty good. They did good at Fort Worth, made some good runs at San Antonio. Um, they look pretty sharp, really. I mean, they look like they're not messing around. And Tyler Trine and Levi Lord, like that looks like that might be a pretty dang good team, really. Tyler's gaming, can get it on them. Levi's good at getting them caught, whatever happens. So I think that could be a good team to watch. I'm kind of excited to see Catch Kelton Rodeo this year. Like I think him and Peyton Bray I think they could get something going. But those are kind of, for me, I mean, that's kind of what I've been watching. Like, doesn't look like anybody's just overloaded on horses right now. The head horse game's tough, you know. Everybody's kind of got 1 to 2, and it's, you know, that's kind of that's about as good a spot as he could be in. You know, there's not his head horses are tough. I mean, they're really tough to come by. So there's not anybody that I could just looks to me like they've got more than they want. You know.
Well, it looks to me I'm 100% in agreement with everything, all of it. I've had my eye on all of those too, and same thing with Catch Kelton. Very excited to see his first year going at him, but I think on the head side, I really like Tanner Tomlinson's head horse. It looks like he's leaving flat. Looks like it's real easy for him to get ahead of him. The horse is still moving forward, but not too much in the corner to where when that rope goes on, it's tight, but he stays up good. And there's so much post up to me in that corner where, I mean, Kobe Payne back there, and I love that heel horse.
Yeah,
Fast
he's good.
strided, gets ahead of them good. If they need to game, they do. And if they need to make a smooth run, they can. If they need to block and tackle like that steer going off to the right of San Antonio, they can do that too. But every time he ropes, that rope is every time Colby ropes, that head rope stays tight all the way till it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that in that barn. I like that fast, quick, flat stride where it gets sharper in that barn where there's not as much looseness on like a longer strided horse in there. That team to me looks very, very, very sharp, I think, going in the winter. I
Yeah,
really
I
agree
agree.
with that. It
And
looks
Tanner,
real
like,
tight.
even the qualifying rounds over at the Lone Star Shootout the other day, I mean, Tanner would run right up in the middle of them, head them, and almost look like he was just practicing, like just lead the steer around the corner and finish and be long 4, short 5 every time. And looks like he's got a lot of control right now.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'm really excited to see Tyler trying. I think the same thing. That kid's gamey indoors. He's real strong with. It's almost like the fast lane or the goat roping, where his long arms when he hits the barrier, they're going to be within reach. If not, and he has to go knock one down, he knows how to do that. Levi Lord's great back there to be able to react where the steer's at. I think it's a good team as well, especially a lot of the young teams. And James Arvizo's horse, I love that horse. Same thing, fast-footed,
Yeah.
strong finish, and the kid's gamey as well. I think he's another great up-and-comer with him and Catch Kelton. I'm really excited to see those two as well coming through the ranks.
Yeah, I think those will be some good teams to watch.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on,
Yeah, you
man.
bet.
That was fun. It was fun to kind of get everyone caught up on where everything's at, jackpot rodeos, and I think it's really cool what you're and the timed events. That's a good one to kind of keep on everyone's radar as it's coming up in a couple weeks. And then, man, I'm really excited with your video coaching and the stuff that you're doing to help so many other ropers out there that, especially the guys that can't get to you.
Yeah,
I think there's a big part of guys that can't afford to drive from a long ways to be able to get help. There's help out there available to be able to get eyes to see what you can't see.
absolutely. Well, no, thanks for having me, Charlie. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the visit.
You betcha, man. Well, do good out there, man.
Hey, thank you.
All right, see you, buddy.
See you guys.
My new online course, The Basics of Horsemanship for Roping, is now available. This course takes everything we've covered from the basics of roping and puts it into action. You'll learn how to properly use your left hand and feet to create clear cues for your horse and making sure your tack fits your horse correctly. There will be detailed live run breakdowns and real jackpot scenarios. Head over to charlycrawford.training, click under the course tab, and sign up today. If you haven't picked up the basics of roping yet, check out the Basics Bundle. You'll save 20% and get both courses to help take your roping and your horsemanship to the next level.